Needless to say, this one had potential to be a good movie, but thanks to what I assumed what they thought the teenage girl mindset was like, it did not happen. What we're going to talk about today is a 2006 film, The Covenant. So you do get this feeling in movies, like especially when you aim at young adults, that is kind of something's off about it. Like, you're like, yeah, this is how teenagers would act in a situation like this. Probably mostly what people think of, it will be Twilight, or I'm thinking of some better ones right now, hold on. Divergent, Shadowhunters, and The Maze Runner. You just get the sense like, yeah, this is meant for teens and make them believe that they can change the world. With The Covenant, I had that same feeling. Now, The Covenant is about 4 boys in high school who I'm assuming they're all in their senior year. And make note of that why I said that. Let's just say they are descendants of the original colonists of Salem, or Ipswich as they like to call it, like the little area there. And they are also descendant of warlocks or witches. They're not really clear on to say what they are. They just have these magical powers that they're descended from witches, but they don't really clarify what they are. Pretty much, they gain these powers when they're 13, but it's like a samples test and get them to learn how to control themselves. And then once they reach 18, they ascend, which means they get the whole entire power, and they're pretty much almost like gods. But the thing is, there's 2 catches to this. One, it is very addictive. You can't help but keep going with the magic. And then there's the second thing is that it prematurely ages you. And to the point that by the time you're possibly in your late 40s, you look like you're about 90 years old. And the story of this actually follows one of the boys, the oldest of these boys, named Caleb Danvers, and he is closest to becoming ascending, and you can tell that he is very cautious about it, because later on in the film you found out that his dad ended up being what I just told you. He looks like he's 90 years old and he's about in his 40s, and he does not want to end up like that, so he's becoming more cautious. He's like reining in the magic and is trying to warn the younger boys that don't do this is going to ruin your life. And especially to Reed, who I thought originally was the youngest, until I heard one of the boys, I think Pro, called Tyler Baby Boy, and I'm like, so he's the youngest. Okay. But each of the boys, you can kind of tell them apart besides physically. But like personality-wise, you can tell who is who. Caleb, I just mentioned, is the more mature one. Prog is more the bad boy slash good boy of the group. Like, he's different. He pretty much, his thing is that he has motorcycles, he has long hair, and that he's deeply in love with his girlfriend Kate. He's very protective, up to the point that I was just like, this is raising some red flags. But if I didn't know the context of it, then I would probably be concerned. But then there's Reed, who is, like I said, the more reckless one, and he's the only one with blonde hair, I imagine. And you can tell his actor is from Britain, because he has more of the Midwestern accent than a New England accent. So that's there. And then Tyler, as I mentioned, is the baby of the group. He's not very that interesting. the only thing that's going for him is that he owns the Jeep, and he's not really likely to fight back on the leader of the group. But all of them have very similar powers. They can fly, they can make stuff disappear. If one of them is in a car accident, they can reassemble themselves back together, especially even their car. And all of them seem to also can see ghosts or omens at one point, called, I forgot what they call it, but in my head is a deadite, but I know it's not. So I'm going to use that term deadite for now on for this review until Al could put up what the word really is. And it also focuses on, the story-wise, focuses on this love story between Caleb and Sarah, who had just recently transferred from the Boston Public, which she got teased about a lot. I'm not really sure what that's about. So I'm guessing they're because they're snobs is why they tease her. I don't know at this point. And then there's also a new kid named Chase, who I gotta point out is played by Bucky. James Buchanan Barnes, Sebastian Stan. And when you find out who he really is, he starts chewing the scenery. Okay, let's just get this out of the way actually. He's the bad guy. He is the whole reason there's a conflict in this. He is, and it was not the conflict that I thought it was originally when Netflix pitched this for me to watch. It said that there's tensions high between these four boys, and once they found out that the fifth is rising even further, that it might drift them apart. Now that, to me, was more interesting than what I actually got. So Chase is this fifth member of the coven. Of this covenant, in which he is not supposed to exist. The story goes that when John Proctor, yes, that John Proctor, was sentenced to death, he got together with shoot, I forgot her name, well, anyway, he got together with another woman other than his wife and had a bastard son with them. And they just never knew about this because he was ironically born 9 months after his father's death. And I'm wondering why didn't they not pick that up? Because the baby was born 10 months after the woman's husband's death. And so pretty much what ended up happening was that they never knew about him, and then one day Chase, who is also adopted by the way, so he's very angry that he never knew what his heritage was, and he had to find out his dad the hard way, the same way Caleb has his dad in the movie. His dad dies and gives him all his power, and he decides to go on this revenge / I want more power trip, and thus why he goes to the academy, because he found out all the descendants are there. And honestly, it does not raise any tensions between the boys. In fact, what happened really, it just brought them closer together to figure out, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to stop him? Is there a way to stop him without him killing everybody? So what ended up happening was that the story is just a mess. Throughout the whole thing, I was just thinking different scenarios that could be better for this film, especially how it was summarized. I could just think of, oh, we could just do this or do that. But instead, we got something so bland and so confusing at times, especially with the characters and how the rules of magic work. Yeah, they have their own rules of magic, but it's just still confusing. Like, they can manipulate whatever they want. They're reality warpers in a sense. Like, this one guy says, oh, you guys make me want to puke. Reed makes him literally puke with his magic. Like, 5 seconds later, done, he does it. And then also there's a scene where they're trying to figure out where Chase is from. And they're not supposed to be caught. This is like the dead of night. So suddenly you hear the security guard come in, and they started to float. And the paper's just starting to fall. And before it reaches the man, they make it stop with their minds. Everything is just floating, and the guy doesn't even notice and just walks away. However, the thing is that the one thing that I did like about these rules of magic, that there is a price to pay for this. I have this theory about when it comes to magic, there's always a kind of a price to pay. Maybe because I'm watching Once Upon a Time too much, but I agree with the concept, if you use magic, there is a price that you have to pay it. And so with this one, it's that you lose a part of your life force the more you use the magic. Thus, it makes whoever uses it want to be more careful about what they do. But also added the fact that it's addictive, it makes it a little bit harder, but probably for whoever has magic in this world, probably makes it worth just saying, I got through it without using magic. I'm okay. We can keep going. But throughout the whole film, it's built up that Caleb is this person who is the more mature one. That you go to him when you need help. And that he won't really use his magic. He'll only use it when it's absolutely necessary. Or when he throws his friends into a bunch of glass. Yeah, he got mad at one of them and threw them against the glass. It makes more sense when you watch the scene. But the end of the film, after the bad guy is defeated, yeah, they don't really know what happened to him. He just disappears. You just see him just magically fix his windshield that was broken earlier. Then he just, throughout the whole film, say, we cannot use our magic. It is horrible for us to use it too much or else we'll die. And he had promised his mother that he would not do it. There's like a whole entire scene with his mom having a drink and a smoke in front of a fireplace and said, do not be like your dad. Don't use this magic like you and your friends are doing willy-nilly. He's like, I promise, Mom, I would not do it. Good night. And throughout the whole film, he's been arguing, no, this does not prevent you from premarining early. It gives me more power, yes, but this actually makes it a little bit worse. And then suddenly you just see him fix his windshield like it was nothing. Like, he didn't really care anymore. Yeah, but I understand that he needed his windshield fixed. But the thing is, watch his face. Just watch his face during that whole thing. You could tell he just like, something just gone. Something is just gone. As if they're saying, oh, once you're Sen, you're not going to care about anything else but magic anymore. Really? It's like this whole entire character development of this one character is making me mad because they actually like take it away as soon as he has a sense, and as soon as the climax is done, he's like, I'm going to use my magic willy-nilly. And that's what I think happened right after the film ended. It looked like it was going to become a franchise. And because the bad guy is still alive, they don't really know if he's dead or not, so I'm still saying he's alive, he somehow escaped. And pretty much, it's set up for a sequel. But guess what? It never got a sequel. Because it did so bad in theaters. It's doing really well circuit-wise, but it's like one of those guilty pleasure movies that you like to watch once in a while. This is actually one of my more favorite guilty pleasure movies because I can point out, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that. I'm not saying I could have done any better, and that the writers didn't do a bad job. They had really interesting ideas. The thing is, it's not really followed through that much. Especially, I'm going to rag on this character for a bit, especially in Sarah, who is set up like one of the possible descendants of the families. Now this is what I got out of it, that she is set up to be one of these descendants. Especially like her actress has top billing in this. The thing is, her character in the movie actually doesn't do anything at all, except be like emotional support and someone for Caleb to fall in love with. Honestly, I think it would have been a lot better, especially how they set up her at the film, that she's getting a visions of omens and that something bad is going to happen, and that she's suddenly very interested into research of the Ipswich and the Salem witch trials, which they mention a lot in this. And what had happened was that they do absolutely nothing. She just finds out, oh, okay, yeah, magic, cool. And she does actually ask a question that a lot of us will be asking if we didn't get an expedition over and over again. But it would have been better if like it was kept up a secret, that we didn't know what the heck was going on, what the rules are, instead of picking it up for exposition. Here, when she does ask the question, of course it's an expedition dump, but the thing is, if they just do that the first time and then all the questions would be answered right then, yeah, it would be an expedition dump, but we won't be hearing it again for probably the 50th time in a row. Instead, it is the questions that we want answered, here we go, these are the answers. But instead, we hear for like the 50th time in a row, and it becomes tiring that we understand, okay, these are the rules of magic, this is what you can't do, this is what you can do. And it's just very tiring. And she does serve as an audience surrogate, but it's not a very good audience surrogate. She's not very that interesting. At one point, all I can remember is that she's from the Boston Public. She just transferred here to this school on a scholarship. She likes photography. She's very good at research and seems to be very bright to get into this college. But the thing is that we don't know what else is about her. Sure, she has a couple tattoos, she seems to be a fun-loving girl who's also a very bad dancer, by the way. No offense to the actress. But you look like you're having fun. That's all I have to say. You look like you're having fun. But the thing is, her as a character, I'm sorry, but I couldn't get behind her. Sure, she seems a very nice girl, and I would want to be friends with her. But the thing is, she's not very that interesting. She's more of an OC that didn't get characterized very well. And then, to be honest, if you want to make her very more interesting, have her probably have some magic in her. Like, she does get visions of something is going to be wrong. Like, there's a whole entire terror scene that actually did creep me out, because I absolutely hate spiders. Yeah, it involves spiders. And it's a dream sequence. That's her sense of something's going wrong. You could have used this saying, oh, she is a psychic. She gets visions through her dreams. Or through, maybe use photography. She said, she didn't want to put, oh, I wish I had my camera here. That's how I picked up she loves photography. And so, you could have just used that to say photography. She could probably use it to say, wait, I took this picture before, I've seen this before. She took a picture of it and then shows it to the boys once she knows about their secret. In fact, have her learn their secret a little bit earlier so she can offer help. But instead, what we got, that she finds out like more than halfway through the movie, and it's just very convenient that she found out about it. I'm sorry, but there's better ways to do this character and the storyline a lot better. In fact, instead of this having to be one big movie, have it be a TV series. Or, since Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon are very interested in doing TV shows now, they can pick it up and possibly make this into a more interesting, well thought out story. But instead, we got something very bland. And that, honestly, again, I came up with a few more ideas for this just by watching this a couple of times. And the effects on here are not very that interesting. When they do fight, it's just this big blob of air, like invisible, like water pellets, and you just push each other. Like, think of Lydia Martin's screams in Teen Wolf. You can very clearly see it, but it's more like, it's very faint. You have to very look at it because they're her screams, so they echo. But you can see her use her powers. Now that is interesting, not only because she's a banshee, but because her powers are including possibly telekinesis, possibly her vocal modulation, no, vocal modulation, actually yes, but she's using the echo, the screams to push people back. And you can see the force. Here, you can see them force each other back and forth and possibly start fires. Actually, they do cause fire. They actually burn down a barn. But the thing is, it's not very that interesting. After we're seeing so many examples of how they use the magic, this is how they fight. I honestly thought it would be a little bit more creative than this. Like, use them to use fireballs at each other. Or since you're so fond of opposites, use Caleb to be the one who is more reserved, so he uses more defense tactics than offense. And that Chase uses fire and he uses water, or something that clearly shows the opposite of how they fight. And again, it's just, the effects are not very that good. There's just one interesting thing that I actually did like. When they do use the magic, you can actually, there's a small detail that I like, and you can clearly see it though. Their eyes turn black, the whole entire eye would turn black, just flames coming out. And at first I thought they were all possessed by demons, and I was about to say crystal multiple times. But no, it's just them using their magic, and it kind of does make them look creepy, but it actually makes sense in a way, because they're using the magic. They're from a world other than our own. So yeah, why not give them eyes that looks different? And I actually did like that effect. In fact, every time they transform, it's just this fiery ring turning their whole entire eye black. I'm sorry, that's just very interesting to me, and I actually did like that. But unfortunately, the negatives kind of outweigh the positives in this. The acting is kind of hokey. I could barely understand what the boys are saying because all of them were whispering in this very brooding tone. But the thing is, I could not even understand what the heck they were saying half the time, to the point that I had to rewatch it several times and even put on the subtitles to figure out what the heck they were saying. There was sometimes he was talking too quietly, and then at one point, Chase, once he reveals to be the villain of the movie, he is loud. He is hurting. He is chewing the scenery that I swear it's in his teeth. This had potential to be a very interesting thing. Now, especially how they treat magic here, it could have been a very interesting, more interesting thing, especially with how things go around in the teenage scene. But, unfortunately, this is not a very interesting story. It had a few interesting ideas, but the thing is, it is not very well executed. But I do have one positive I have to say about this film. Its soundtrack is awesome. If you hadn't had a chance yet, check out that soundtrack. It is actually really good. I'm late in the movies, and see you later.